Okay, before we move on to the most important topics of statistics and which are related to machine learning, I just want to make a clear cut distinction between resampling versus bootstrapping. Okay, so resampling is a general term that refers to any statistical method that involves repeatedly drawing samples from a dataset to estimate properties of the population from which the data were collected. So, this includes methods like permutation tests, cross validation, jackknifing. This is very important. Jackknifing, in addition to bootstrapping. Of course, bootstrapping is also part of that because we use bootstrapping to do resampling. Okay, that is one method. We use bootstrapping to do to do the resampling. That is obviously one method. Okay, so sometimes the term resampling is used synonymously with the term bootstrapping as just outlined. So more often, the term resampling also includes permutation procedures where multiple samples are combined and the sampling may be done without a replacement. That is also called a replacement. Sorry, that is also called resampling. That is the reason resampling is not the bootstrapping. Resampling, the bootstrapping is one of the method to do the resampling. Resampling can be done with replacement, without a replacement. If it is with replacement, it's called bootstrapping. If it is not, if it is without a replacement, it is not bootstrapping. I hope you got my point. Okay, so where multiple samples are combined and the sampling may be done without a replacement. In this case, the term bootstrap always implies sampling with replacement from an observed data. Okay, I hope the distinction is very clear. So now on the other side, bootstrapping is a specific resampling method that involves repeatedly drawing samples from a data set with replacement. Stress that word, with replacement, to create many simulated data sets of the same size as the original data set. So the goal of the bootstrapping is to estimate the sampling distribution of a statistic such as the mean or standard deviation, or to construct the confidence intervals, Okay, now let's put in a single sentence or maybe two sentences so that understand exact difference between the resampling versus bootstrapping. So the key difference between resampling and bootstrapping is that resampling is a broad category that includes many different methods such as cross validation, jackknifing, permutation tests, bootstrapping, while bootstrapping is a specific method that involves resampling with the replacement. In a nutshell, bootstrapping is a type of resampling, but not all resampling methods are bootstrapping. I hope you got my point, or else I'll write it down. So, resampling versus bootstrapping. So, bootstrapping is a type of resampling, but not all resampling methods are bootstrapping. Okay, so let's take one example so that you will have a better understanding between them. Suppose we have a data set of 100 100 students, 100 students test scores, and we want to estimate the mean score of all the students in the school. I'm talking about. Okay, now so resampling, let me put resampling. Resampling could involve using cross validation to estimate the mean score. For example, we could randomly divide the data set into 10 equal parts and use 9 parts to train a model and the remaining part to test the model, and then repeat the process for all possible combinations of parts. By averaging the test scores across all the runs, we can estimate the mean score of all the students in the school. Okay, so that's what this method we have used now is called cross validation method. Okay, in cross validation method, what we did is we randomly divided the data set into two parts, 10 equal parts. Okay, randomly divided the test data set into 10 equal parts, out of which 9 parts to train a model, and remaining, of course, we have only one part to test the model. Okay, and once that is done, we'll repeat this process for all possible combinations. So repeat this process for all combinations of parts, and finally by averaging the test scores across all the runs, we can estimate the mean score of all the students in the school. Okay, so this is called as resampling with cross validation. Okay, so now let's look into the bootstrapping. So bootstrapping, on the other hand, involves repeatedly resampling the data set with a replacement to estimate the variability of the sample mean. For example, we could randomly draw a sample. We could randomly draw a sample of 20 scores from the data set with the replacement, and then calculate the, once that is done, let's calculate the mean of this sample and repeat this process many times to create a distribution of sample means. This is what we call it as a sampling distribution. Then, by looking at the spread of this distribution, distribution, we can estimate the standard error SE, standard error of the sample mean. And finally construct using that. Of course, if you know the standard error of the sample mean, you can construct a confidence interval for the population mean. So that's it. So in this example, cross validation is a type of resampling method that involves splitting data into multiple parts to estimate the mean score, while bootstrapping is a specific resampling method that involves drawing many bootstrap samples to estimate the standard error of the mean score. That's the difference.